Your brain treats rejection the same way it processes physical pain. That's why heartbreak literally hurts. People don't remember what you said, they remember how you made them feel. The brain is wired to focus on negative experiences more than positive ones. It's called the negativity bias. You make about 35,000 decisions every single day, most without even realizing it. Humans are the only animals who can feel embarrassment about their own future behavior. The more choices you have, the less satisfied you become with your final decision. This is the paradox of choice. Your mind wanders roughly 47% of the day, and it makes you less happy when it does. People who feel lonely experience more nightmares than those who feel socially connected. You are more creative at night when you're tired. Your brain filters less. The average person tells 1 to 2 lies every single day without feeling guilty about most of them. Your brain literally cannot distinguish between a real memory and a vividly imagined one. Being ignored activates the same neural pathways as physical injury. People tend to mimic the behavior of those they admire, subconsciously. The human brain uses 20% of your body's total energy, despite being only 2% of its weight. You are more likely to remember uncompleted tasks than finished ones. This is the Zeigarnik effect. A person who laughs too much at small things is often carrying more pain than they show. Your brain releases dopamine not when you achieve something, but when you anticipate it. Most people don't actually listen to understand. They listen to reply. Overthinking is just the brain rehearsing for problems that usually never come. You are attracted to people who remind you of someone familiar, even without knowing it. The fear of missing out is a real psychological condition that rewires decision-making. Humans are naturally drawn to stories. The brain responds to narrative 22 times more powerfully than raw facts. People who sleep less tend to overestimate their own productivity. Smiling, even when forced, actually reduces stress in the body. Your brain takes it seriously. When you recall a memory, you're actually remembering the last time you recalled it, not the original event. Most people would rather give themselves an electric shock than sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. Music is one of the few activities that activates every single region of the human brain simultaneously. Humans default to finding patterns even in random, meaningless data. It's called apophenia. Your brain treats social exclusion the same way it treats starvation, as an emergency. People judge you within the first 7 seconds of meeting you, and rarely update that judgment. The more confident someone appears, the more competent others assume they are, regardless of actual skill. Anger is almost always a secondary emotion. Underneath it is usually fear, shame, or sadness. Multitasking doesn't exist. Your brain just switches rapidly between tasks, losing quality each time. When you write your goals down, you are 42% more likely to achieve them. People who feel powerless use humor as a defense mechanism more often than those in control. The body physically releases stress hormones when you receive an unexpected notification. You are more persuaded by a story of one person's suffering than by statistics about millions. A familiar face feels trustworthy even if you've never actually spoken. It's called the mere exposure effect. Your subconscious mind processes 11 million bits of information per second. Your conscious mind handles only 40. People who are deeply empathetic often experience emotional exhaustion without understanding why. Nostalgia is a psychological coping tool the brain uses when the present feels uncertain or painful. When someone nods while you talk, your brain interprets it as agreement and makes you feel more confident. You are far more likely to help one identifiable person than a large anonymous group, even if the numbers are bigger. The human brain perceives silence as a social threat in conversation. That's why awkward pauses feel unbearable. Willpower is a limited resource. The more decisions you make in a day, the worse your choices become later. People change their opinions more when they think they came to the conclusion on their own. Your brain physically shrinks in size when you experience chronic loneliness. A person's biggest fear is rarely death. It's being forgotten, being irrelevant, or being unloved. Humans are the only species that delay sleep to watch meaningless content online, knowingly. You are more creative immediately after waking from a dream. The prefrontal cortex is still half asleep. People who grow up in chaotic environments often feel uncomfortable with peace. They subconsciously recreate drama. The more you try to suppress a thought, the more frequently it appears. This is the white bear phenomenon. People tip more in restaurants when the server gives their name and makes eye contact. Most people don't actually change their core beliefs. They just find new reasons to justify old ones. When you help others, your brain activates the same reward system as when you receive help yourself. The human mind fills in gaps with assumptions and almost always assumes the worst. Eye contact for more than 3 seconds creates either intimacy or threat. There's almost no middle ground. People are far more afraid of losing something they have than excited about gaining something they don't. Your brain rehearses worst-case scenarios not to torture you, but to prepare you for survival. A child who was never allowed to express emotion grows into an adult who doesn't know what they feel. People who talk about their goals openly are statistically less likely to achieve them. It satisfies the brain prematurely. The brain stores emotional memories more vividly than neutral ones, which is why trauma feels so close. You are more likely to accept bad news if it comes from someone you trust and respect. Humans synchronize their heartbeats when they listen to music together, a real neurological phenomenon. The need to belong is as powerful as the need for food and shelter in human psychology. People with messy environments tend to think more creatively. Order promotes convention, disorder sparks ideas. When someone is under high stress, they revert to their oldest, most practiced coping habits. Good or bad? Most people confuse being busy with being productive and use busyness to avoid emotional processing. The brain cannot fully separate imagination from reality when the imagination is vivid and emotionally charged. The last thing you see before sleeping is what your brain processes most heavily during the night. People in crowds behave in ways they never would alone. This is called de-individuation. When you are genuinely curious about someone, they feel valued. It's one of the rarest gifts you can give. Your brain physically reacts to sarcasm by activating the same regions used for detecting lies. Most people would rather be right than be happy, and will sacrifice relationships to prove a point. The average person changes their personality significantly at least 5 times in their lifetime. Boredom is not emptiness. It is the brain signaling a need for meaningful stimulation. When 2 people share a secret, their emotional bond becomes significantly stronger. Humans are the only species known to delay gratification purely for social reasons, to seem polite. Your environment shapes your behavior more powerfully than your intentions most of the time. People who are afraid to cry in public are often the ones who cry most intensely when alone. The brain registers a compliment about your work differently from a compliment about your appearance. One feeds purpose, the other feeds ego. People who feel heard become more open to changing their mind. Feeling understood unlocks flexibility. The older you get, the fewer new memories you create, which is why time feels like it speeds up. Childhood experiences don't disappear. They become the lens through which all adult decisions are made. Most arguments are not about the topic being argued. They are about control, respect, or fear. When you are in the presence of someone who truly believes in you, your brain actually performs better. People often mistake intensity for depth. A loud, dramatic relationship is not the same as a meaningful one. Your brain is 31% more productive and creative in a positive state than in a neutral or negative state. Humans are wired to overestimate how much other people notice and judge them. This is the spotlight effect. Repeating something to yourself before sleep increases the chance you'll remember it in the morning. People who read fiction regularly show higher empathy levels in brain scan studies than non-readers. The most dangerous person in a negotiation is the one who has nothing left to lose. Your voice tone, pace, and volume carry 38% of your message's impact, far more than your words alone. Humans evolved to care about other people's opinions because social rejection once meant death. When you feel overwhelmed, your brain narrows its focus. This is tunnel vision under stress. The people who appear the most confident are often managing the deepest internal anxiety. Human behavior is approximately 95% unconscious, meaning most of what you do, you don't consciously decide. Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it physically lowers cortisol and blood pressure in the present. The moment you label an emotion, its intensity drops significantly. Naming feelings is the first step to managing them.